A Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to all the brothers pushing this work in sincerity and in truth. This is a brother to mine from GMS Toronto, coming at you with another video. So, been watching a lot of clips lately. Not with not with men per se, but like from the privilege of the women's point of view. All those guys, debating women about what their role should be, and all these things that's going on in today's society with this um, new generation and the feminism that's been seeped into their pores, right? And this is the reason. This is the reason why you have weak men in this society, right? Because the Lord Himself said that in the scriptures, right? Not only He said a woman shall compass a man, but He also said that the men shall be as women. I'll get those two scriptures, right? I'm going to read this quote right here. That's it's very true, right? It's very authentic, and we can see it in this time that we're living in. So it says, "Hard times create strong men," right? And this goes into every nation, right? That's on the planet Earth. You know, um, there are times in the scriptures where the Israelites were very comfortable, and look what happened, right? They get taken over. They got they got weak. They got effeminate, right? Let me read the whole thing and then I'll explain that. Strong men create good times, right? Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. So this is exactly what we're living in right now. We went through, I'll say as a nation, as an Israelite nation, and these heathens too, right? Because as a result, you're seeing women rising up, and that's just weak men that's creating hard times, right? And as a result, you see women rising up, trying to be equal, but that's just when you see weak times in hard times in a society, that's the downfall, right? And and that's all mentioned in the scriptures. A woman shall compass a man, right? Shall compass a man. Jeremiah. Let's get that in Jeremiah. Jeremiah 31 and 22, and it says here, "How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter?" Right? For the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. Right? And that's why you see these guys running to other countries, right? To escape from these women, from the wrath of these women. The Lord is the one that set that up, right? Let me give you an example of the Israelites being comfortable. Ashar by the beach. Right, let me see. Ashar by the beach. Book of Judges. I think it's Judges 5. Judges 5. Um, on the noise of the archers. Awake, awake. Issachar, the prince of Salakia. Bear with me a little bit. Um, I think I missed it. But it's gonna give you an example of the Asherites being very comfortable when it was time of war, right? Let me start at 7. This is Judges 5 and 7. The inhabitants of the village ceased in Israel until the day that day I Deborah arose, that I arose a mother in Israel, right? They chose new gods. Then was war in the gates, so they got comfortable, right? There were no enemies around, right? They had conquered everyone, Right? The Lord set it up where, when we got out of the land of Israel, where, we conquered all those nations. But guess what? We went and got mingled amongst these nations because we were supposed to destroy all those other nations that was in the land, and we didn't. Right? Um, Slakia. Then was there war in the gates? Was there shield or spear seen among 40,000 of Israel? Where is that? Where is that? I'm still trying to find the part with Ashar, man. Um, Zebulon, and it's right in front of my eyes. I can just tell it's right in front of my eyes. Right? God damn it. I know it's here in Judges, man. It's right here in Judges 5. Chose new gods and delivering the noise of the archer. Happened to the village. It says here Ephraim, um, Issachar, Zebulon, Naphtali. All right, okay, let me read it. Okay, let me read it. I'll just go into it. This is verse 14, and it says, "Out of Ephraim was there a root of them against Amalek, right after thee, Benjamin among thy people, out of Machir came down governors, and out of Zebulun they Salakia, they that handled the pen of the writer, right? And the princes of Issachar were with Deborah, even Issachar. And also Barak, he was sent on foot into the valley for the uh divisions of Reuben that were great throughout great thoughts of heart. Why abodest thou amongst the sheepfolds to hear the bleating of the flocks? Right? For the division of Reuben, there were great searchings of heart. They got comfortable, but here's the one that got most comfortable. Gilead abode beyond Jordan, and why did Dan remain in ships? Ashar continued on the seashore, and abode in his breaches. And Zebulun and Naphtali were a people that jeoparded their lives um, unto the death in the high places of the field. So the point here being um, the tribe of Dan and Ashar, they got very comfortable. Reuben got very comfortable because they were divided, right? Um, they got deep into their husbandry. So when war broke out, they were all in that state of mind. They were comfortable, and that's just an example of our people, right, being comfortable. But now you're seeing it in society in general, right? Hard times create strong men, right? Because at one time, these uh these men of other nations, will start with the Edomites, right? You'll see, that manly spirit that was on them. Now, what do you have? Because all those manly so-called forefathers that was around before, they created a good time because it was hard times back then, right? Coming up in the 1900s, right, with the gangsters, all the gangs, they rose into the mafia, and the mafia arose into something gigantic, right? And all fraction of society, right? Strong men create good times, and the good times of Babylon is over, right? And now all of that, the hard times, and then the strong men, right? So we rode out the wave of the good times, and now guess what we have now? Good times create weak men, right? So now we have a bunch of weak men running around in society, right? And the Lord is the one that did that, right? And weak men create hard times. So the only thing that's gonna um, put everyone back into perspective, right, is war. Hard times again, right? Hard times is the only thing that's going to switch the society around. But guess what? The Lord is going to be the one coming back to fight. So your men are actually not going to be strong, right? They're gonna rise up, but the Lord's going to conquer all of that, right? So now you're seeing this speech right here just showing you the decline of this society of Babylon the Great, right? We would have healed Babylon. Jeremiah. Right? So Jeremiah 51:9 says here, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. right? Forsake her, and let us go and everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies, right? So you go back here and read this again. Hard times create strong men, right? Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. That's exactly what we're living in right now, right? And it's not really a prophecy, but it's just the truth, you know? The men of Babylon. What's an example of a weak man? Of weak men. You see men turning into transgender. You see men talking about they're equal to women. You see men um, letting their women rule over them. Right? You see these guys paying a bunch of girls online. You see guys in the house. They don't go outside. Right? They don't hunt anymore. Right? Because the society had allowed them to get everything for free. Right? Attention for free, sex for free, um, what else? Meat for free, food for free, and even that with the fast foods, they get tired of it. They don't think it's fast enough. You go to a fast food restaurant and the food is not done within 5 minutes. These guys and girls get mad. They get angry, right? This is Jeremiah 15:30. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holes. Their might hath failed. They became as women. They have turned, they have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. And when you go into the ancient Rome downfall, you had the same thing going on. You had weak men, right? 8 reasons why Rome fell. The most straightforward theory for the Rome, for Rome's Western Rome's collapse, pinned the fall of string of military losses, right? There's that economic troubles and over uh, over relevance on the slave labor, right? That's two. Even as Rome was under attack from outside forces, that's all going to happen to Babylon. Let's just read them. The rise of the Eastern Empire, right? That's other. I think that was Jake. It says here the overexpansion of the military, overspreading. You see that in today's society of America, government corruption and political instability, right? And you can go into the reasons. Six, the arrival of the Huns and the migration of the barbarian tribes. So that's, I think that was Jake's coming into the into the so-called Roman society, right? And just taking over. Christianity and the loss of the traditional values. So it's going into moral decay, right? Moral decay. Also, that's when you have weak men and good times, right? You have the rise of liberals, right? In society, you have women sleeping with as much as men as they can, right? Women making as much money, so to speak. Talking about they're equal to men. All these things, right? You have pedophilia running around, rampant, right? It's being right now we're seeing it become very legal, right? The higher echelon of society, they're the ones that's the most dedicated to this practice, right? And they're not being caught because they're the rulers, right? So that's the scripture says, "So is a ruler, so are the people." So that's really trickling down into society, right? You have women with opinions, right? You have women with so-called good jobs, education, right? Weakening of the Roman legions. So when you go into the word legions, it's the military, right? But our military over here, let me say our, the Western military, the American military, they think that they're never going to be taken down because of all the military might that they have. But that's not what the Lord says. So all these things you're seeing, right, in this society, Let's go right back to it again. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times, right? In the 50s and in the 60s, that was good time for the Edomites. 70s, good time for the Edomites. 80s, good time for the Edomites, because you tribes were over here getting bombarded with drugs, right? Bombarded with gangs, so many things that you never recovered from, right? Poison foods, right? And it's still on high. You got that music to distract you also that was poisoning your mind, right? Poisoning. You have Christianity that was poisoning your heart spiritually, right? Good times create weak men. So with all that good times in America, because it was known as the land of the free, right? It was known as the land of the free. So now that's part of the good times. Oh, you can come over here and be whatever you want, right? Now we have all this good times streaming across the whole earth, and now everyone is drinking the wine, right? And then that create weak men, and then weak men create hard times. So the wine of the wrath of a fornication. I think Revelation 18. Revelation 18 and 3, and it says here, "For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies." So that wine that you see is literally their philosophies, right? Their tongues, right? Um, if you ever hang around people who are from different nations that comes here, when you see their children, man, the children, we'll go into the Muslims for the most part. A Muslim woman right now that's born, not even born, that's brought over here, right? Her mind, she might not be sleeping around with a bunch of men, but her mind, this is what her mind might look like. Let me show you. Hopefully I don't get flagged for this, right? Salakia. Um, Muslim woman. Muslim women feminists. These women never used to act like the way they do.
If your husband can provide for you, your first priority is the home.
Yes.
You can't go out and get a career and a job and be like, oh, well, now you're going to split the work 50-50 with me at home, because it's not his.
Whenever women speak out against feminism, this is a very common response. You wouldn't have blah, blah, blah rights if it wasn't for feminism, so why are you hating on feminism? Feminism did so much good for you, so why
Concubines.
A Muslim man can have up to 4 wives at once. In addition to the 4 wives, he can have an unlimited number of concubines, which refer to women who are basically have slave status when they are owned by her master. A woman owned by her master has to freely give of herself to the master. The master has the right to have sexual relations with her as though she were one of his wives.
And does consent play into this at all, or can
Muslim men be like, feminism is un-Islamic because men and women just aren't the same? What act like a man?
I really like what she's saying, but I just wanted to elaborate on one point.
concubines?
Muslim men be like, feminism is un-Islamic because men and women just aren't the same. What act like a man?
These feminists, they always come out and they say, leave her alone, right? You don't know what's in her heart, huh? She's probably extremely pious, right? Don't be judgmental, but now, mashallah, they all came out.
So even what I'm trying to show you is that even the Muslim men, they're being bombarded with feminism, right? Because the women are starting to talk shit. The women start talking about divorcing the man. I've seen videos of Muslim women talking about if their men try to get another wife, they're gonna leave, right? They're gonna leave the husband. Why? Because they know they can go and get another husband, man. Right? They try to act like they value the things that they once did, but it's gone because the wine of the wrath of the fornication of Babylon the Great, it's been seeped into their pores, right? So even them who so-called had a strong moral compass and strong values, right? Even that moral decay is being seeped into their bones also, right? So I'll make a video about that. My next video might be about the Muslim woman, right? The women of the East, that comes over here, right? And loses their way due to the fact that they're in Babylon the Great. So I'll leave it there, right? I'll come back to this for part 2. So I'll say shalom.